Hi everyone, my name is Latimer and I'm currently an occupational therapy student at Boston University completing my doctoral capstone project on yoga for Parkinson's disease. I'm very excited to get started with our class today, and I'm going to be going over some safety recommendations and our setup for the class. So first things first, before you start class today, make sure that it's an appropriate time of the day for you to exercise. So that means that you are well rested and you've taken your medication for the day to manage your symptoms. Be sure to listen to your body throughout class, and if you feel any pain or discomfort in any poses, please stop where you are and get out of the pose or try a different variation that I will show throughout the class. And if the pain continues, consult your doctor or physiotherapist for some other options. As far as our setup for class, you will need a yoga mat or just a soft, comfortable surface for you to practice on. Some of the class will be in a chair, some of the class will be on the floor. So you want it to be squishy and comfortable enough for your knees and your joints as you get down on the ground. You will need at least one chair for class today, preferably a chair without arms, but if you only have a chair with arms, that will work perfectly fine. You will want a water bottle with you, and I encourage practicing next to a wall. As you can see, I will be doing. Throughout class, I'll be showing how we can use the wall for some of these exercises. If you don't have a wall that is available, I recommend a sturdy table or a second chair. And if you know that you don't want to get on the floor today, you'll want a second chair to do some of the postures seated using the other chair instead of getting on the floor. Some other equipment that you might use, props to help increase comfort in your practice, are yoga blocks. I have two. If you don't have a yoga block, you can use a book or stack of books to bring the ground closer to you. You could use a water bottle like what I have, or even a second chair to use as a yoga block and bring the ground closer to you. I will also be using a strap throughout our class today. This is what my yoga strap looks like. If you don't have a strap, you can use a bathrobe tie, which is what I have here, or even a belt. And lastly, I have a blanket, a yoga blanket, but you can use any blanket for while we get on the floor, especially for our knees if you've had any past knee injuries. Be sure to modify physical postures as needed today, especially balancing postures. If you know that you're feeling a little bit off today, take things easy and do what feels right. I recommend practicing barefoot, but if you feel more comfortable, you can have non-slip socks or non-slip shoes on too. And lastly, if you have a mirror in front of you, that may be helpful for some visual feedback to make adjustments as needed, but it's not necessary for the class. Lastly, for safety, please make sure that there is another adult at your residence, and if you are alone, just make sure that there's somebody you could call and contact in case anything happens. And I even encourage you to have your loved ones join these classes with you to add in that social component and that social support for these virtual classes. Thank you so much, and let's get started. Hi everyone, let's get started with our class today. This is going to be a mindful movement class. So towards the middle of class, we'll start to flow a little bit more in our standing postures especially. We have a theme of grounding and non-striving today. So non-striving means letting go of those racing thoughts, that to-do list, and just allowing ourselves to let go of the future, let go of the past, and be in the present moment, accepting where we're at, embracing where we are right now in our journey, accepting things for as they are and not pushing ourselves past our limits. And so as we arrive onto our mats, we can sit up nice and tall in our seat, hands wherever comfortable. And at this point in the program, I want you to take whatever starting position feels best as we come into our initial breath work together. So maybe you want to take a more active beginning pose, and you can find a mountain pose standing behind your chair or maybe against the wall, or even coming into a butterfly pose on our mats, sitting on a blanket if you'd like to, sitting up nice and tall wherever we're at, taking whatever position feels right. And as we begin to settle here, rolling the shoulders back and down, sitting up nice and tall, we can slowly allow the eyes to draw closed, or maybe just soften the gaze towards the floor. Noticing the body, noticing the breath, noticing the mind. Noticing what thoughts are entering the mind, and just allowing our thoughts to float by like a cloud. Maybe a thought pops up and we think, what am I having for dinner tonight? And instead of giving time, effort, and attention to that thought, continuing, oh, I have these ingredients, I may have to go to the store, not even giving yourself that thought the attention. Just letting the question come in and float by, and bringing our attention back to the breath. Giving ourselves this yoga class for our body and our mind to be fully present. And on our next inhale, we'll slowly flutter the eyes open. We're going to come into our breathing exercise next, and this breathing exercise is known as Kalabati breath or skull brightening breath. It's a breath of fire, so it works to warm up the temperature in the body, in contrast to our Shitali cooling breath that works to cool down the body that we did last week. So with that in mind, if depending on the time of the year where you're practicing, depending on how you're feeling, you may not want to do a breath that generates heat in the body right now. Some other precautions are high blood pressure, any heart conditions, any previous history of a stroke or epilepsy. I would not recommend that you try this Kalabati breath. Just continue with our deep natural breath together. Also be sure to monitor for any dizziness or discomfort as we come into this breath. So I'll do just a few rounds so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to turn my chair so that you can look at my belly. The way that Kalabati works is it's a forceful exhalation out the nose, and your inhales are almost automatic and passive. Let me demonstrate. I'll give you a few more instructions and then we'll try together. So you see how my stomach was going in and out. As you do your forceful exhalation, the belly draws in, and then you inhale, the belly fills, and it's automatic. I want to emphasize that when I say forceful exhalations, the power of the exhale should be forceful, but it should not be forced. So if you're starting to feel out of breath or uncomfortable, lengthen the time between your rhythm. You just have a slower rhythm in between your breath and try it that way. We're gonna go for 10 to 20 rounds on our first try, and then the second round we can do 10 to 30. So sitting up nice and tall, we can have our hands on our thighs, we can have them palms up. If you wanna turn it up a little bit, you can reach both hands up and have like a hitchhiker thumbs up, reaching up towards the sky, whichever variation feels best. Taking a big breath in. Big breath in wherever we're at, relaxing the arms, few natural breaths here. I did about 20 rounds. Noticing the sensations and feelings in the body after this first round. Kapalabhati breath has many health benefits for balancing the nervous system, especially increasing oxygen flow, detoxifying the body. So we're going to come into one more round. If you feel dizzy at all or you feel discomfort during this breath, just continue with your natural breath. If you're coming into Kapalabhati with me, hands can rest wherever comfortable. You can always reach up overhead with our thumbs pointing up. Big breath in. We can go for 10 to 30 rounds this time. Big breath in. And exhaling, releasing down. 5 full breaths here. Pausing to notice the mind, notice the body. Feeling cleansed, detoxified, invigorated. And slowly beginning to flutter the eyes open if they aren't already. We're going to come into our Om chants as a class. Just 3 rounds, feeling the vibrations move from the belly to the chest and then the throat and mouth as we go from ah, o, Think of projecting from the belly loud. We'll have more opportunities throughout this class to try chanting or counting down or using Sanskrit names. Sanskrit is the Hindu language for yoga poses. I include them in the manual, but it's good practice to learn something new, to practice vocalizing loud and projecting for everybody to hear. And it also respects the culture for yoga, honoring its ancient roots. So for our Om chant, you can always stay still with palms up, focusing on the breath and the vibrations. If you'd like to move your arms with me, you can. Wherever we're at, we're taking a big, deep breath in through the nose. 2 more. Inhaling. If you're reaching up with me, think big hands. Inhaling, reaching up. Last one, make it our best one, our loudest. Maybe closing the eyes, allowing the breath to come back to its natural rhythm for 3 rounds here. Noticing any sensations. And on our next inhale, starting to flutter the eyes open. We're going to go ahead and start to move with the breath here. I'm going to move my chair so you can see me better. On our next inhale, we're going to reach both arms out and up, spreading all 10 fingers. The gaze lifts up towards the sky. And exhaling, reaching out as far as we can, reaching all the way back down. One more time. This time on our inhale, we're going to reach our arms out to a T position. Inhaling, chest is proud. We're still relaxing the shoulders back and down behind us, spreading all 10 fingers. And from here, we lengthen through the spine on our inhale. And on our exhale, we're going to bring our right palm to come and meet the left palm. Maybe it's just the fingertips that touch. Maybe we're further up the arm, and that's perfectly okay. But we're focusing on an active spinal twist. Exhaling, palms come to touch. Inhaling, arms come to a T. And exhaling, left palm comes towards the right. Inhaling through center. And exhaling to twist. One more each side, moving with the breath. And on our next exhale, relaxing the arms down, shaking out the arms if you'd like. We can always find our neck rolls, our shoulder rolls, rib cage circles, or hip circles, especially at the beginning of our class. Even if I'm not leading us through that warm-up that we started most of our Parkinson's yoga classes with, it's a great way to start to wake up the body. If you start coming into these other warm-up positions and you're still feeling tight, pause the video and go through some of those warm-up rolls throughout the whole body, go all the way down through the ankle, and then play this video and continue with the class once you feel warmed up and ready. If you're coming with me, we're going to start to open up the chest here. So on our inhale, we're going to come to our cactus goalpost arms, big hands, spreading all 10 fingers. We're squeezing the shoulder blades back behind us. Gaze lifts, big breath in. And exhaling, forearms and palms come together, chin to chest, rounding through the upper back. Inhaling, opening up the heart. And exhaling, rounding out. 3 more. On our last one, we inhale to open up. And exhaling, releasing the arms, shaking out if we need to. We're going to come into eagle arms next. So this is a arm bind or wrap. There's multiple options and it's really great for opening up the upper back. We're working on protracting. And so it's really great for postural muscles, postural strengthening, and flexibility to be able to sit up nice and tall. So this time on our inhale, we're going to come to those cactus arms again, breathing in through the chest. And on our exhale, right arm is going to swing underneath the left arm, and we're going to give ourselves a hug. So maybe the hands fall on the back of our arms. Maybe we're able to reach towards the shoulders to where our elbows can stack on top of one another. Now, you may find yourself in a pose that looks like this to be able to hug yourself. Think of sitting up nice and tall, chest is proud, and lifting our elbows up. So maybe we're grabbing closer to the elbows to be able to sit up nice and tall and lift the elbows up. Wherever we're at in this hug, inhale, lifting the elbows towards the sky. And exhaling, releasing the arms here, shaking anything out, and we'll try the same thing on the other side. Inhaling our cactus arms. And exhaling, left arm swings under right this time, giving ourselves a hug. Sitting up nice and tall, lifting the elbows up. Big breath in. And exhaling, releasing the arms. We're going to come into one more round on each side. If you know you have tighter shoulders, stick with the option of hugging ourselves and focus on lengthening through the spine and lifting the elbows rather than trying to take one of these next variations I'm about to demonstrate and maybe missing some of the alignment cues. I would rather have you do the more foundational pose before trying to progress when you're not ready. So that takes honesty and self-observation to be able to assess how we're feeling today in this moment. Maybe we were able to do it yesterday and today feels a little bit different. That's the beauty of yoga. It's the beauty of life. Every day, every moment is different, and we just accept and embrace it as it is. So with that, I'll be demonstrating other options for eagle pose, but you can always come back to that hug. Inhaling, arms come to cactus. And exhaling, right arm swings under left. This time, maybe the back of the hands come to touch together. We can still come to that hug first and then maybe lift up the hands where the back of the hands can touch. If you find that if you're trying this and you're rounding through the spine or your elbows are dropping down, come back to the hug. Hug, think of sitting up nice and tall, lifting the elbows up. If you're here and you're able to touch the back of the hands while keeping the elbows lifted, that's wonderful. The full expression of this pose is when the palms are able to wrap around and be able to touch. So whether we're using the back of our hands or hugging, we inhale to lift the elbows and exhaling, releasing down, shaking out the shoulders, shaking out the arms. We have one last side. Inhaling, cactus arms, big hands. And exhaling, left arm swings under right this time. We can start with our hug, sitting up nice and tall, lifting the elbows. Maybe we stay here. Maybe we bring the back of the palms toward each other, still lifting through the elbows. And breathing here. The full expression of this pose, being able to wrap to where the palms can touch. But that is not easy. It took me years to be able to do that. So wherever we're at, inhaling, elbows lift. And exhaling, releasing the arms, shaking them out if we need to. Finding any last movements here before we move into our sun salutations. So coming into our sun salutations next, we're gonna learn a new sun salutation today. So we're gonna go through 2 rounds of our Surya Namaskar A, or sun salutation A, which is what we usually practice together. We'll want our blocks on their tall height in front of the feet. And remember, this can be done seated or standing. I'll demonstrate the seated variation first and the standing variation second, but just know that you can always continue with the seated version if that's what makes the most sense for you. So, on our inhale, we're going to reach both arms out and up. Our seat is on the edge of the chair. Feet are nice and firmly planted on the floor. We're going to be coming into a forward fold. So get your hips on the chair so that you feel comfortable shifting the weight forward into your feet. Inhaling, reaching both arms out and up. And exhaling, folding forward, hinging at the hips. Hands can come to blocks, forward fold, head hangs heavy here. And for our first forward fold, we can maybe shake the head no and nod the head yes, helping release any tension in the neck, fully relaxing the head. On our inhale, we come to our halfway lift. Hands are on the blocks. We're lengthening through the spine. And exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, sweeping both arms out and up. Maybe the right knee lifts. And exhaling, hugging the right knee towards the nose. Inhaling, right foot plants down, reaching both arms up. And exhaling, diving down, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. And exhaling, fold. Inhaling, sweeping both arms out and up. Left knee lifts this time. And exhaling, left knee to nose. Inhaling, foot plants, reaching up. And exhaling, diving down, forward fold. We're coming into one more round of our Surya Namaskar A. So if you'd like to continue with the seated version, just hang out in this forward fold, shake the head out. If you want to come into the standing variation with me, we'll go ahead and slowly start to roll up one vertebrae at a time. Head is the last thing to come up. Noticing how we feel, noticing any lightheadedness or dizziness. And if we do feel a bit dizzy, stick with the seated variation for this last round. If you're coming with me, we're going to start to shift the weight forward to powerfully press through the legs and stand all the way up, meeting in our mountain pose at the top of the mat. So whether we're seated or standing, inhaling, reaching both arms out and up, and exhaling, hinging at the hips, diving down, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift, hands come to blocks, we're extending through the spine. And exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, sweeping both arms forward and up, Utkatasana, chair pose. We're drawing the low belly in, arms reach up. And exhaling, hands to heart center. If we're seated, we're just inhaling the one knee. Inhaling, pressing through to rise, both arms reach up. And exhaling, forward folds. Inhaling, halfway lift. And exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, sweeping both arms forward and up, Utkatasana, chair pose. And exhaling, hands to heart center. Inhaling to rise. And exhaling, forward fold, head hangs heavy. Wherever we're at, we'll slowly start to roll up one vertebrae at a time. Head is the last to come up, until we meet at the top in our chair or standing here. And so next we're going to come into Surya Namaskar B, or Sun Salutation B. So we have two options. If you are staying seated, you'll want to have that second chair close by in front of you. If you are ready to get on the floor, we will be getting on the floor for this round of sun salutations. So on our next inhale, we reach both arms out and up, the gaze lifts. And exhaling, diving down, forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift. And exhaling, fold. Inhaling, hands are on the blocks. If we're in this standing position at the top of our mats, we're going to take one long step back with the left foot, coming into kind of like a low lunge. And then from here, we can bring the blocks down to their smaller height, dropping the back left knee down and swinging the right knee to come meet it. We're going to be meeting in a plank position. So I recommend bringing the blanket underneath the knees. We walk the hands out so that the hips are in line with our knees and spine. We're squeezing the glutes here, pressing away from the mat. Our shoulders should be directly over our wrists. Keeping the toes tucked, drawing the belly button in towards the spine here. The gaze is ahead of the mat, back of the neck is long. And if you are more experienced in your yoga practice, you can always come to that full plank. But wherever we're at, I'm going to recommend this modified since it's our first time. We're coming into our chaturanga. It's kind of like a push-up. So thinking of squeezing the elbows back behind you, we'll start to bend on our exhale to come all the way down onto the stomach. Inhaling, tops of the feet press into the mat. We press through the hands, baby cobra, squeezing the elbows back together behind us. And exhaling, pressing back, child's pose. One more round. Inhaling, starting to shift the weight forward into that modified plank position or a full plank. And this time on our exhale, squeezing the elbows back together, gazes forward. We're going to drop the chin and the chest down towards the mat first. So the chin, chest, knees, and hands are pressing into the mat. Our hips are lifted. Inhaling, hips come down, opening up the heart, baby cobra. And exhaling, pressing back, child's pose. If you're on the floor with me, we can take the knees out wide, big toes come to touch. You can always bring a block under the forehead in a child's pose. And take 5 full breaths here. When we're ready, slowly removing any blocks, walking the hands up. We're gonna use our chair if we're on the ground to come to sit. So from here, I want us to turn our bodies so that we have a chair to one side. If you're already seated, you just hang tight. We're gonna bring our strongest leg coming up onto that knee and pressing into that strong leg. You can always have a hand on the thigh. Use the chair to come all the way up to stand here. Taking a moment, coming onto our chair, noticing any lightheadedness and pausing the video if we are experiencing some. Coming back to that breath before we move into our Utkatasana chair flow. So from here, our feet are hips distance apart. We've been here before, so we are familiar with it. I'm going to give less cues for our chair pose. You know that you can always work on hovering and coming right back with your hands on the seat, or you can come all the way to stand and all the way back down, whatever feels best for this flow. So, Utkatasana, our first Sanskrit word that we can try and learn today as we come into this familiar chair pose. On our inhale, we start to shift the weight forward into the feet, lifting the hips, drawing the belly button in. And again, maybe we're holding, maybe we're coming up and down, maybe we're doing full sit to stands. Moving with the breath wherever we're at. Inhaling, shifting forward, powerfully pressing through the legs. And exhaling, hips send back, fighting gravity, seeing how slow we can make these movements. And with me on our next 3 rounds, we are going to say Utkatasana chair pose. Inhaling, 3, 2, 1, Utkatasana chair pose. 2 more times. 3, 2, 1, Utkatasana chair pose. Last time. Noticing how as we're working the mind, what's happening with our movements. 3, 2, 1, Utkatasana chair pose. Projecting loud for everyone to hear. On our last round, inhaling, pressing through the feet to come all the way to stand. And we'll meet in our mountain pose. So coming behind the chair, you can also always do this with your back up against the wall. Rolling the shoulders back and down. Taking 3 breaths here. And so from our mountain pose, we're going to come into some LSVT, big and loud exercises together. I'm going to demonstrate next to a wall, and I recommend doing these next to a wall, but you can also do them with the chair at your side. So if you're doing them with a chair, I invite you to come to the right side of the chair, and you can have your left hand on the back of the chair. I'm going to be demonstrating with the wall so that you can see my movements. And if you are doing what I'm doing and moving stuff out of the way, notice how even during our transitions, what is the quality of your movement like? Are you doing beautiful posture and being very intentional, and then when you go to move a block, you round through your back and you're bending over and moving things fast or anxiously? Notice how we can make the transitions, like getting up from the chair. If you came down on the floor, how can we make these transitions more intentional? So wherever we're at, getting set up for our LSVT rock and roll, you might already be familiar with this. So we have a hand on a chair, or we're nice and close to a wall. Big hands here on our inhale. We're going to step forward with the right foot. Right arm comes to reach up, left arm reaches back. And exhaling, transferring the weight back to the back foot to step back. Inhaling, right arm reaches up, right leg reaches up or forward, and exhaling, stepping back. We're going to do this 10 times, and we're going to count together. Down from 10. Inhaling, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, seeing where we can exaggerate and grow bigger. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stepping back, relaxing here, taking a seat, grabbing a sip of water, pausing the video if we need to. And then we're going to move on to our rock and twist next. So we're still on the same side of the chair if you're using the chair. Stepping forward with the same right foot, but this time we're going to step forward and we're going to bring our left arm out, right arm reaches back, coming into a twist here. Now this is working our core, it works our balance. We are weight shifting here, so please be close to a wall and use it for support if you need to. So inhaling, right foot steps, left arm reaches up to twist. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming back to center, shaking out the arms and legs if you need to. We can always come to take a seat, grab a sip of water before we switch to the other side. Noticing the heat in the body, noticing the heart beating, noticing the breath. Is it shallow or fast? Can we deepen and lengthen it? And when we're ready, we'll go ahead and start to switch sides. So if you've got a chair only, you'll be on the left side of the chair so that you can hang on to the chair back with your right hand. I'm going to demonstrate next to a wall so you can see a little bit better. Starting with our just rock and roll forward. We step forward with our left foot, left arm reaches up, right arm reaches back, and then we step back into center. We're going to count down from 10 again. Think about projecting loud for everybody to hear. Inhaling, left foot, left arm. 10, 9, 8, 7. Don't forget about reaching back with that right arm. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. And back to center, shaking out the arms and legs. You can always pause the video if you want to take a little break, recenter, reground. If you're moving with me, we're going to come into that rock and twist. So we're going to step forward with the left foot, and right arm is going to reach forward, left arm reaches back. And so we're turning our chest towards the left leg and then stepping back. We'll go for 10. Ready? Inhaling, left arm or left foot steps, right arm reaches forward. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Seeing where we can grow bigger and exaggerate. 4, 3, 2, and last one. Coming back to center, shaking out the arms and legs if we need, taking a break, taking 3 full breaths. And taking our time, we'll all meet in our mountain pose behind our chair, or we can stay seated for any of these poses. We're going to come into a warrior one flow next, and then we'll make our way onto our backs for our final stretches. So from our chair, coming into our warrior one, we're going to step the right foot to the right of the chair and take a long step back with the left foot so that the chair is almost directly in front of the left hip. And I'll move into out of the sun so you can see me a little bit better. So we got our right foot step to the outside of the chair, and we've got a long step back with our left foot. Our left foot should be at a diagonal, at a 45-degree angle. We bend in through the right knee. We want to make sure both hip points are pointed forward towards the front of our mat. If we find we are arching our back, think of drawing the belly button in towards the spine. You can even have your hands on your hips to help press left hip forward, right hip back, and then drawing the belly button in, scooping our hips under us. So we can always hang on to the chair here. We can have our hands to heart center, or if you'd like to move with me, we're going to come into a little bit of a flow. So similar to our sun salutations where it's one breath per movement, almost like a moving meditation, Think about with each inhale, where can we expand and grow? And with each exhale, where can we press away, usually from the body? Usually you're lengthening out on the exhales. So we're going to inhale, reaching both arms forward, all the way up. The gaze lifts. And exhaling, arms come out to a T position. Big hands. Inhaling, lifting through the heart. And exhaling, right arm swings under left. We can come into our eagle arms. Inhaling, lifting the elbows, lifting the gaze. And exhaling, arms swing up and open. Big breath in. And exhaling, cactus arms. Inhaling to reach up. And exhaling, hands to heart center. That's our flow. One more round on this side. Inhaling, reaching forward, all the way up. The gaze lifts. And exhaling, arms come out to a T. Inhaling, lengthening through the hands. And exhaling, left arm under right this time, coming into our eagle wrap. Inhaling, lifting the elbows up. And exhaling, releasing the hands. Inhaling, both arms up towards the sky. And exhaling, cactus arms. Inhaling, reaching up. And exhaling, hands to heart center here. Bringing the hands to the back of the chair. We'll start to step the feet together. Shake out the legs if we need. And now we know what to expect. We're going to do the same thing on the other side this time. Left foot steps to the side of the chair. Right foot takes a long step back. Pointed at a 45-degree angle. We're bending in through that left knee. Adjusting our stance here. We don't need to be on a tightrope. We can always widen the feet if we need to for more balance. We have a wall next to us or the chair right in front of us. Drawing the belly in, both hips are pointing forward. We're bending into that front knee. Maybe the back heel doesn't fully reach down towards the floor, but we're pressing it down towards the floor. You can have your hands on the chair or heart center if you want to find stillness and strength. If you did the other side with me, we're going to start to move. Inhaling, reaching both arms forward and up. The gaze lifts. And exhaling, arms come out to a T. Inhaling, right arm swings under left. Lifting the elbows up towards the sky. And exhaling to release. Inhaling, reaching up. And exhaling, cactus arms. Inhaling to reach. And exhaling, hands to heart center. One more round. Finding the balance between ease and effort and listening to our bodies. Inhaling, reaching forward, up. And exhaling, arms to a T. Inhaling, left arm under right this time. Elbows lift, gaze lift. And exhaling, releasing the arms. Both arms swing up. Big breath in. And exhaling, cactus arms. Inhaling to reach. And exhaling, hands to heart center. Hands come to the back of the chair. We step the feet back together, shaking out the legs if we need to here. Accepting whatever that looks like, even if it's not what we wanted it to be. We're going to come to meet all the way down onto our mats into a tabletop position. I recommend putting a blanket underneath the knees for some more cushion, taking our time. We can always stay in the chair if we're not getting on the floor today. And starting to find circles in this tabletop position. Shifting the weight forward, gripping with the fingertips, and shifting the weight back into the hips. And switching directions of our circle. And from here, we're going to come into our puppy pose. So if you'd like to have a block on its small or medium height for the head, this is a chest opener. So it depends how open our chest is. I'll demonstrate with the block on its small height, but you might not need it. With the hips staying up high, toes are tucked, we're going to start to walk the hands forward in front of us to where the chest falls heavy towards the floor. Maybe the forehead comes to meet with the block. The chest is falling heavy down towards the floor. But we're still keeping our arms active here. So our elbows are lifted if possible. If they come onto the mat, that's okay too. But we're thinking of lengthening forward. Hips are lifting up towards the sky. Maybe you try it first with the block and you decide you don't need it. 2 more breaths. And slowly starting to walk the hands back up into that tabletop position. Noticing any differences here, maybe going through a cat-cow. And then from here, we're going to sit to one side and swing the legs around and come to meet all the way onto our backs. So while we're on our backs here, we can always roll up a blanket and have it underneath the neck if that feels comfortable. We're going to go ahead and bring both feet as wide as our mat here. And start to windshield wipe the knees from side to side. Arms come out to a T. And the next time the knees drop over towards the right, allowing them to stay there, the gaze comes over the left shoulder. Inhaling, coming through center, and exhaling, knees fall over to the right, gaze is over, knees fall over to the left, gaze is over the right shoulder. Inhaling, coming back through center. We'll hug both knees into the chest and maybe draw circles with the knees to massage the low back. And switching directions of our circle. On our next inhale, we'll hug the right knee into the chest. The left leg goes out long. And switching sides. Hugging the left knee in, right leg goes out long. Allowing both legs to fall long here, arms at our sides or wherever comfortable. We're going to come into our facial expression exercises before our final relaxation. We can always elevate the legs up on the chair, having the chair just underneath the knees, close to the hips, or you can elevate the legs up against a wall if you'd like to. Coming into our facial exercises, starting to move the tongue around the inside of the mouth, the inside of the teeth and gums and lips. And when we're ready, on our next inhale, we'll come into a big smile, big teeth, squinting the eyes, squeezing the apples of the cheeks. And exhaling to relax. 4 more. Inhaling to smile. And exhaling to relax. Inhaling to smile. And exhaling to relax. 2 more at your own pace. Relaxing the face fully. This time on our inhale, we come into our surprise face. Big eyes, eyebrows raised in the forehead, big mouth. And exhaling to relax. 4 more. Inhaling, big surprise. And exhaling to relax. Inhaling, big surprise, seeing where we can grow in the face. And exhaling to relax. 2 more. Fully relaxing the face here. Arms come out our sides, a couple feet away from the body, palms up. Coming into our final relaxation or shavasana. Making any last minute adjustments so we can fully settle here. Allowing the eyes to draw closed or softening the gaze. And coming back to the breath. Being fully aware of the body and the mind in this present moment. Noticing the sensations of the body, or the noises around you. And coming back to our theme of grounding and non-striving. Being content and accepting and embracing where we are in this present moment. Embracing our journey in yoga and throughout our lives. And slowly bringing some awareness back into the body by wiggling the toes, wiggling the fingers. If you have 5 to 10 more minutes at home, I invite you to stay in Shavasana, soaking up all the benefits of our practice. If you're coming out with me, we'll start to rock the head side to side. Taking our time, we'll bring both feet onto the mat, bending the knees, and we'll inhale one arm up overhead. And on our exhale, we roll over to whatever side that was, using that arm as a pillow, bending the knees, coming into a fetal position on our sides and pausing here. Using our top hand to slowly press ourselves up to a comfortable seat. And from here, as always, taking the last few moments of class to thank ourselves for carving the time out of our day for our yoga practice. Taking the time to honor our efforts throughout this practice today and embrace our journey. The light within me honors the light within each of you. Namaste.